Give it all you got. Can't stop now. Keep moving. Give it all you Ronaldinho Soccer!
Exclusive world premiere.
Huh? What are you... V3? I thought this was E3. What do you mean E3's been canceled? Ah, fuck it. Hello! Welcome to V3. I'll personally be walking you through a handful of trailers and announcements for tonight's show. First up, a game for those who like online shooters and have a passion for graphic design. Let's take a closer look. The next title in tonight's show is a 2D fighter featuring a bunch of nobodies developed by a bunch of nobodies. Let's take a look. Coming up next is a game by those who just couldn't get enough of Valve's hit game, Portal. I, for one, love thinking with portals. In fact, I was hoping to check out that Squid Girls portal, if you know what I mean. Anyway, while I get my blowhole taken care of, check out this new trailer. Wahoo! At first, we wanted Nintendo to hire him. Well, now, we're just hoping he doesn't go to jail. Here's a new project from a very passionate Nintendo-year-old.
Dear Mario, please come to the castle. I'm Becky. Yours truly, Princess Toadstool. Peach.
If there's one thing I can't stand in this world, it's that bitch Mavis Beacon and her typing game. Well, I don't need it. And these developers have given me the solution I've always been waiting for. Let's roll the trailer. Coming up next is a very, very special interview with a very special developer and studio who may be a little bit special in that other way. You know them for the Postal series, but now, see what they do here tonight as part of our V3 presentation. Please welcome Vince Desiderio, CEO of Running with Scissors. You know there's something wrong if that's what you name your company after.
Postal is a long-running franchise that had an infamously bad third opus and a terrible movie to match. However, that didn't stop the developers. Postal 4 is currently in early access with positive reception. Today we got Chief Bidet Officer Mike J and CEO of Running with Scissors, Vince Desi. How are you guys doing?
Real good.
Yep.
Very good.
All right. So we got a few questions for you guys. What was the main inspiration for the first Postal game?
Well, the early days of the original Postal, there's actually two kind of sources. In our old office, we had a Robotron arcade machine, which, if you know, it was these little characters that ran all around the screen, and you had to shoot, and it was just basically the ultimate fast-paced isometric shooter. So that was the top game in our office. It was just crazy and fun. At that time, we were a well-known work-for-hire developer that did a lot of games for Sesame Street, Disney, Hanna-Barbera, all that kind of thing. And the team and myself, we were just generally bored with that type of product, and nobody really wanted to play any of the games that we were making. And then I was kind of at the point, I said to myself, now is the perfect time for us to just do our own thing, and just life in general, age, whatever you want to call it. So I've never been a big fan of science fiction or zombies or aliens kind of shit. I'm a little older. I come more from a reality base. So the idea was to just, let's make a game about somebody that just fucking shoots everybody and goes off. And I wanted it to be more reality based. So hence we had pedestrians, or, what they were calling, nonviolent NPCs or whatever. But that was really it. And the original basis in terms of the levels, they were largely based on real life environments that we have here in Southern Arizona. We actually went down and shot video of a little town called Bisbee, which is an old mining town. And it's a very interesting town because the streets, you could be walking on the street and seeing somebody's roof on the right side, and on the left side, you got to go up a hill to go to their house. So we structured the town somewhat like that. But then things like the Air Force Base is real. Things like the ostrich farm is real. Shanty town and, homeless trailers or whatever. All of that's very much, Southern Arizona. So.
What inspired the events of Postal 2?
Well, let me try to transition you from Postal 1 to Postal 2. In Postal 1, even though it was considered dark and almost demonic and extremely violent, I never thought of it like that. I mean, to me, it was like, okay, one day I found out how many characters we could have on the screen, and I was like, wow, that's cool. So that was how I came up with the idea for the marching band. I was like, oh shit, you mean we could have that many characters? I said, what can we do that's going to be fun? We're not about saving the fucking world, any of that kind of, shit. So the idea was to just have it be a big open world and make it fun. And it's interacting and doing all the things you could do that really give and make Postal 2 kind of come to life. But because the Postal 2 basically represents every guy who's just, really kind of just wants to live and be left alone. Nothing dramatic, he's not a hero. So things like the classic, get milk. Well, it was just so obvious.
Too easy.
That it's okay to just do things that are very, some people say mundane. I would say just everyday normal life.
Have you guys incorporated anything from what you've learned from the backlash of Postal 3 into Postal 4?
Yeah, keep all the creativity in-house and control as much of it as you possibly can. Finish the game, which is our intention for Postal 4, and possibly license it for console. Postal 2 was kind of like the GTA of Russia, if you will. It was tremendously successful, and we had a really good plan. We designed Postal 3. We were responsible for all things creative, characters, script. They were going to do basically all the assets and coding, but it within the first year, it terribly dissolved due to the economics and the financial crash in Russia. So I don't have any regrets. That's funny using that term, but yeah, I don't regret anything about Postal 3. Look, that's game development. I mean, what game ever starts out and actually finishes the way you planned originally? I don't know of any. And let's face it, most games never get completed. Yeah, it's just the nature of the business.
What are some things you'd like to add in Postal 4 that you know you won't be able to?
I mean, we're not our community who sits and tries to think of the most offensive things that make them laugh. We just kind of put in shit that comes to mind and we laugh about it. Like, we're not putting in shitting because we're worried about the response. Like, we're just not putting in shitting because we don't want to put in shitting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, we don't put stuff in to go, this is going to get a fucking reaction. We talk about something, and if we think it's funny, we put it in, and we hope people like it. We're making a game that we want to laugh about, and if people laugh with us, that's fan-fucking-tastic.
How did you land on John St. John for the voice of the Postal Dude?
I mean, this was kind of one of those decisions we had in the office where we didn't want to go with Corey because of the obvious, and yeah, we could find any number of Rick sound-alikes because there's plenty of them in the radio industry, right? But we already did that with Corey, and it was kind of like, if we're going to find someone, we need to find somebody with a name. We need to like put some backing behind it. And after speaking with John, you know, he was just, he actually kind of is the dude himself. And we did try some versions of him actually trying to mimic Rick. They didn't come off right. So the voice he uses in it is actually his own voice. Like, he's not putting a character on. And even Corey, who's down to do whatever, agreed with that sentiment. Like, he knows the lore and the truth behind that project and the response. So, like, yes, Corey did a great job. He's probably the best part of Postal 3, but it's still Postal 3, right? So Rick's always had a job. He's been like the main voiceover guy for Clear Channel for 30 years. He just wasn't available to do Postal 4. We don't have a reason, and that's that. We didn't decide to fire him. He doesn't work for me. He just does work for me, and he wasn't there for this one, just like he wasn't there for Postal 3. That's really the only answer there is when it comes to Rick. There is no conspiracy to that. He didn't get a full-time job and wasn't available. He just wasn't available.
Do you have any plans to make a new Postal movie? Maybe with Uwe Boll?
Well, I like Uwe personally. He's an interesting guy. He's actually a funny guy. I think he gets a bit of a bad rap. In terms of
Hold on. His movies are like hot garbage.
God,
That's what makes
He doesn't get a bad rap. He makes a bad rap.
Wait, we knew a girl named Hot Garbage.
Yeah, I fucked her, but no, Uwe's movies suck, okay? Like, Postal is definitely an outlier, and it's better than his other crap, but it's, like, still crap.
His best movie.
Right, it's his best movie. And he's the one that chose to release In the Name of the King before Postal, not us. And that movie buried us. It truly fucking buried us.
Wow, I sense anger.
Well, no, Uwe's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with Uwe personally. He is a good guy. I enjoyed spending time with him. But, like, he's definitely the producers. He doesn't give a fuck if something makes money. He made a bunch of money off of it.
We have been approached on occasion, and we think about making another Postal movie, and it's definitely something we want to do. I personally, you know, right now, while most of the world is, you know, in lockdown, in self-quarantine, and, you know, people are burning out Netflix, I keep saying to myself, a Postal series just seems like it would be so appropriate. I don't know. That's my feeling.
Well, yeah, but just not made by Uwe Boll.
Yes, not made by Uwe Boll.
Literally anybody else. I mean, literally, like a 4-year-old with a budget can make the Postal series.
Do you guys have any plans for a new series?
So, we can't really talk about it, but we did work on a VR project for a while. It's a separate IP, and it's kind of been on the shelf for a couple of years now until VR gets bigger than it is. But we are retconning it into the Postal universe. Like I said, I can't really tell you much about the game, but the characters from it are the radio hosts in Postal 4. So at some point, hopefully in the not too distant future, we will be putting out that VR title, and it's not anything that you would expect.
Why the name Running with Scissors?
Well, again, that was in the mid '90s. I guess it was in '96 when I started running with scissors. We knew we were going to make the game Postal before we decided to call ourselves Running with Scissors. And the whole idea was that I knew this was going to be a game that was going to be different on many levels. So there was a very popular saying when I was a kid, which is "Don't run with scissors." Your mother would say to you, "Don't run with scissors." So the concept was we're basically all about doing everything you're not supposed to do. So we're running with scissors.
What's been the biggest difficulty in the RWS office?
We're a remote studio, just so you guys know. Like, everybody works where they live and shits where they eat. So
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's why we brought in the Wuhan virus, because it won't interrupt our development cycle.
Actually, we were ordering new Crotchy dolls, but we had sent dolls to China for them to produce new versions of it. This was late last year, and we haven't heard a fucking word back. Like, we don't know what happened to the factory. Like, they haven't responded to any. Like, they got the dolls, they said they got them, and then China went in lockdown like 2 weeks later. So I guess it's possible those dolls had the virus on them. Problems in the Running with Scissors office. I don't know, man. I don't think we have the same. I mean, I guess we do have the same problems everybody else does. Not everybody agrees on everything design-wise, but part of having a remote office kind of allows people to not have the same battles that they would have in person. Everybody on the team is a Postal fan first before they were on our team. So everybody's coming from the sort of the same place. Like, they all want the same thing. I wouldn't say they all love the same thing, but they all are like huge Postal fans. So the arguments aren't always like vastly different ideas of what Postal is. It's just like some people obviously think he's a little more evil and some people think he's a little more crass. Like, there are little arguments, but for the most part, our team gels pretty well.
I've seen how you guys are still coming out with Postal 2 updates. What drives the time to put so much effort into the Postal series?
Yeah, we're only still making games today because people supported us on Steam so heavily. I mean, it's not like we were out of business ever, but like getting Postal 2 on Steam back in 2012, like, completely resuscitated us. And we can't abandon products because we're on to the next product, like, you just we're not going to be like overly fixing Postal 2 going forward, but we have to make sure that people know it's still being cared for.
It's really simple. I mean, the way I look at it is not everybody on the team has kids. The average age of our team, I don't know, probably in the 20s, maybe 30s. But Postal is not a baby anymore. It might have been our baby, and now it's kind of like our teenager. And we just want the best for it. When I write that we have the best fans in the world, I fucking mean it. Because why? It's an honor. We are so blessed to be able to do what we do. I don't even know what I would be doing otherwise. So how can you not give back to the fans who've literally made us? The company is a team. The team, part of the team, the membership is the fan base. It's like one big fuck fest, and we're blessed.
It's the Postal orgy.
Yeah. We want the whole world coming at the same time.
We really appreciate you taking the time with us.
Listen, you take care. All right, be safe. God
See you
bless.
guys.
You too.
Hello, V3. I have an announcement to make. It is I, Dr. Eggman. I will be taking over this section of your V3 programming. First and foremost, my announcement. The website 4chan will now be known as EggChan. You're welcome. Now let's talk video games, something most of you seem to have forgotten how to do. First up is a JRPG whose name makes you think it's a Phoenix Wright case. Let's take a look.
Hello Annans of V3, my name is Jack Tubo of Cybershrooms, and I'd like to thank the kind folk at Black Crystal Studios for allowing me to have this spotlight moment. We at Cybershrooms have just launched our Kickstarter campaign, which you can find in the description of the stream, and to promote our game, Pangea Mystical Turnabout, we're going to be hosting a draw thread at the conclusion of this presentation. The purpose of this draw fest is to allow anyone the chance to get their monster in the full game. The rules are pretty simple. All you gotta do is submit any original monster design you have, and we may select up to 2 designs to have drawn out in our style. It could be of any quality. If the concept is good, we may roll with it. Hell, look at how my art transitioned to a finalized design. In case the thread gets archived, we're going to supply a form link not only in the thread but also at our website cybershrooms.co, and the winning designs will be chosen June 7th, though you're going to need to play the full game and see if your design made it. If you really want your design in the game, we do have a lot of backer reward tiers where you can work with us and getting your design in the game. If you haven't already heard of Pangea Mystical Turnabout, well, you can check out the draw thread to learn more, as well as our website again, cybershrooms.co. Can't wait to see what you guys come up with, even if you give enough a shit to submit a design in the first place. But before I go, we do have an exclusive V3 trailer to play right here.
Our next title may surprise you. In an age of decaying creativity comes a brand new game in which you take down zombies. Yes, the genre that's decaying faster than the walking corpses. Let's take a look. And now an announcement I'm sure many of you will be keen on. Get a load of this! Coming up is a game for all those Smash babies who couldn't get their stupid toy in the game. It looks like some of them have some creativity. Check out this trailer. Now that the announcements of games are out of the way, I suppose it's time for what you've all been waiting for. A one-on-one with me, Dr. Eggman. As you'll soon find out, I'm rolling out some new plans for mobile gaming, loot boxes, in-app purchases, and of course,
Stop right there, Eggman!
Sonic!
Nice try, Egghead, but we all know the real interview is with Nando Sarmiento.
Who?
He's a dev out of Argentina. Check out this exclusive interview.
Hey guys, it's time for another interview, and our next guest is Fernando Sarmiento, the creative Tough Coated, winner of Best Experimental Game and Best Presentation at Tokyo Game Show of 2015. The game is a mix of a shoot 'em up and a live DJ performance. Welcome to v3Expo V3. How you doing?
Hey Eldon, how's it going?
Alright, to give us a bit of context, how did you get into game development?
The story is quite long if I have to start from the beginning, but I actually started programming games when I was like 9 or 10 years old on BAT, on DOS. I started making like these little silly text adventures. I moved on to create with this multimedia fusion, which at the time was called Click and Play. And I started making games on my spare time. I was I thought that I was going to be a game designer very early on when I was very, very young. I'm talking about like 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. I made a bunch of games. I tried selling them online. I never sold like not even one. And afterwards I started doing VFX, visual effects, and started doing filmmaking. And I started actually after school. I started cinema. I did a bunch of films. For 10 years, I created a company called Peppermelon, which did a lot of VFX work and animation and motion graphics work for the commercials. And so I did like 10 years of that. And one day it struck me that it was time for me to get back into game design because I was sick and tired of doing commercials. I decided to get back into gaming. This was already like 7 or 8 years ago. So I made a decision to invest in myself, and I went 2 or 3 times to GDC in San Francisco. I started doing workshops and game jams, and I started to program this game called Tough Coated by myself. And I created that game in order for me to get into the business.
Why have you decided to go with mobile games over PC or consoles?
It's related 100% to our abilities in acquiring users. My company, the company that I was explaining, that I was talking about before, called Peppermelon. It's one company. And there's another company called Renxo, which is my brother's company. Their business is acquiring users through carrier billing. So it's not it's mobile, but it's getting the typical. It was very popular like 10 years ago, like sending a text message to get content like a ringtone or music or a wallpaper.
Yep.
Since they had that knowledge, which is mostly subscription based, we decided to join my creative capacities with their business capacities. And the other reason is because I always wanted to make comic books, movies. That's what I want to do always, and games. It's not only just one thing. And the only place where I found that there were new IPs was in the mobile space. And at that moment, Angry Birds and Plants vs. Zombies was like striking out. They were like appearing, So I said, okay, here is the opportunity.
Where do you think your inspiration and sources come from?
In the case of Floyd, before we started Lemon Chili, for 2 or 3 years, I was heavily studying the mobile business. Or at least at that time, there were a lot of games that were about retrying, dying fast and retrying, and to pay for the retry. That's one thing. And the other thing was that there was a lot of games that sold. The game was basically one thing, but they sold a lot of extra skins of or extra characters. So you had those two models. So what I wanted was to fuse those two models and to make a game where whenever you retry and you pay to retry, you get a second chance, which is a little bit easier. So this concept also was inspired from the game Super Time Force, which I previously mentioned, which is exactly that. You time travel and you retry levels, and that game is much better than ours. But when I saw that game, I said, okay, this game would be an awesome mobile game because of the retrying thing that it has. So that's basically where Floyd came from. And also the whole stickers and all those things came simply because we saw that there was not even one game that was doing the gacha thing with stickers right.
One of the big controversies in gaming of the last few years is the concept of microtransactions. As a studio, what are your thoughts about it? Do you think they're necessary?
I mean, it comes with the territory. It depends widely of what's of the year that you're making that question. So I don't know. We actually try everything in our games. We try microtransactions, we try ads, and we tried subscriptions. What I decided to make specifically with Floyd was to not create microtransactions that are evil. If there's a microtransaction, it has to have some value for the user. For instance, it had to be something that you can collect, and it had to be something that you can use in the games to get further. Actually, my question there is, for an indie developer, you have to try everything and see what's best for you, because you never know exactly where the money is going to come from. And if you are a small company, you have tight budget, you need to, I don't know, get the money wherever you can. I understand the frustration about the microtransactions for most users, but the reality is that most users don't pay.
And based on your experiences, where do you think the future of mobile gaming is going?
That's a very difficult question. I think that everything is a commodity now, like in terms of the content. You have a lot of things like Netflix, which are and by that meaning subscription-based services. I'm very inclined to say that the future is going to be having a bunch of those services for $2 or $3.99. I think that I'm thinking that it should be going in that route. I think we were actually thinking of doing some subscription-based services aside from Boop Kids, which is a subscription-based service, but with another target, with a target closer to Floyd or Tower Power, and create our own content. And we see there are a bunch of developers trying to get that. Even Apple Arcade is a subscription service for games.
True. And
you have actually, lots others. The Google, what's the name? Stadia.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know, but that's even if you ask me about the future, that's not even the future. That's the present, actually. So it's not 100% of the present, but it's pretty much what's going on at this moment. Yeah, it's getting there very fast. So the future, I don't know. I wish people were doing more stuff like tough coded in terms of user-generated content, like Super Mario Maker, but with different genres in mobile, and for people to use games as a social network, like an Instagram of games, where you can very simply enter into a game and play with a friend and then go. I'm saying this as if it was a novelty, but in China, WeChat has games, TikTok has games, and that's exactly happening right now in China. I think it should be going towards that arena.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your time with us.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for the call.
Just Arms is a game where you lose all functionality except that of your arms. You travel through a variety of obstacles, biomes, and platforms, all the way up to the very end. This precision platformer is that of an MLG gamer, and I highly recommend it. Let's give it a watch. Brunkel is a physics platformer where you take the shape of an angry little ball. Kinda reminds me of Kirby. Wait, I'm curious. Could this be the new weapon to surpass Metal Gear? Tasty. Sorry about that, everybody. This next game is called Necrofugitive. It's a dark platformer about a shapeshifter escaping the laws of justice. Fast action and CQC makes this game pretty good, and the combat demo will be released today, June 5th. Check it out. seems that the next game will be... Oh, brother. Not this game again. Brian Heroes. Whatever.
Drink comes up, keep it down. Shitty writer all around. See my work get voted down. My whole career mashed in the ground. Finding meaning in my life. Take it all without a strife. World is shit within a ride. When my book fails, these quotes are why. Watch me drink the night away. Watch me slave away. Dry martinis piling up. Ass ahoy! Brian Heroes. Brian Heroes. I am an atheist. Smoke weed, okay? Brian Heroes. Brian Heroes. Worst character gets a game anyway. Brian Heroes. 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 Whose leg do you have to hump anyway?
This next entry by Tweedle Studios has you exploring unknown lands. In Crimson Resonance, you use the powers to suck up magic creatures, interact with objects, and harvest materials. But take care to absorb the recoil, because some creatures are larger than others. Crimson Resonance, coming soon.
Ahem! Captain's Log, June 5th, 2020. And welcome from Quickville to the very first V3! Today, I am proud to announce Samosbor ID Heaven, which can be described as a 3D game developed by Derivotan. Wow, that was so full of action, I couldn't keep up. It sure was 3D. The camera even reminded me of my mom's driving. From what the internet has told me, there's another game by the same dev. A sequel to the game you just saw a trailer for. Saturday of Piercing Screams. Oh, God. I think I'm getting dizzy from watching that. Why do these people keep sending me these troll videos of games? That was a platformer, I think. Our next game is also by Zero Return. 2-week game. Another 3D game. But this time, you take control of Nikolai, who tries to stop a visual novel contest. This sounds very cool.
Я обращаюсь к кровавым чудовищам по ту сторону леса. И постараюсь сейчас прояснить некоторые моменты. Чернобыль не имеет к этому никакого отношения. Я надеялся на совсем другое. Вы видели сами, что происходит. И вообще, конкурс визуальных новелл придумал не я, а петухи какие-то. Деревья с горящими глазами преследуют меня после провала моей стратегии каравана. Вы просто уже не понимаете, что происходит. Будет новый день и новый конкурс визуальных новелл, который запилите уже вы. Я верю в вас.
Если вы тронете мой фон или спрайт, я вам ноги сломаю.
О, река обезумела! Сможешь ли ты совладать с ней? А ну, чмо!
Димасик, объебасик, не хрюкай.
Вы все тут безыгренные Кириллы, а я котел.
Это так низко, бро. Это так низко.
Проект номер 4 станет нашим.
Определись уже, жертва ты или охотник.
Я тебе сейчас такую надежду их расстроить покажу, что типа нет спасения.
Уровень ГД. Используй снятие печати первого уровня.
Wow. Thanks for all the cool games, Drew Votan. Now that's over with. There's a new Sonic and Mario crossover game that I am very excited to announce. Made by Shigeru Miyamoto himself, who has personally asked me to give the honor of presenting the all-new Donkey Kong and Knuckles. And Donkey Kong and Knuckles accidentally delete Wikipedia while trying to download banana bread recipes.
Ralphie, get off the stage, sweetheart.
Alright, DK. With this banana bread recipe we stole off some obscure blog that nobody reads, we've got this baking competition in the bag. Now I'm gonna go downstairs and check to see if we have the right ingredients. deactivated deletewikipedia.x, didn't you? Why do I even have that on my goddamn computer?
And I told her, I said, hey, are we playing horseshoes, honey? No, I don't think we are.
Okay. Easy. Calm down, man. I'm just dry humping her.
Hey, are we doing government? So very, very close. Oh, baby, up close. So close, but no cigar. Missed it by that much. Oh, yeah. All right. Really, really, really close, but no cigar.
While not a mainline Sonic game, I am very much looking forward to the release of Donkey Kong and Knuckles, and Donkey Kong and Knuckles accidentally delete Wikipedia while trying to download banana bread recipes. It says Epic Adventure coming next year. I just have one more game to proudly announce to you tonight. A platformer with a heart by Scarlet Spring Studios. Mono Space to Lovers! That was very cute. The girls reminded me of the ones that I wish could be my girlfriends. Well, I said that I had one last game. I do have one last announcement for you all, though. A fellow hero of mine, as some of you may know him from his role as Big the Cat in Sonic Adventure 2, please give it up for Mr. John St. John.
Today we have the privilege to talk to the voice actor most famously known for the voice of Big the Cat. Mr. John St. John is with us.
I'm here.
How are you doing today, John?
I'm good. How about you guys?
Doing great. Just amid this crisis.
One pandemic at a time, baby.
We're really grateful that you accepted our invitation, John.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We want to know, how did you get into the voice acting gig? You probably answered this question a lot before, but might as well go over it again one more time.
Means I have a great answer because it's well rehearsed. Okay, so I've been a voice. I've actually been in voice acting now for 45 years.
Wow!
Because at 14 years old, I became a disc jockey on a radio station in Eastern North Carolina, and I became a production director shortly after that. The guy who makes all the commercials and has to do all the different voices. So yeah, I've been at it for a long time. It started with a radio career. And when I moved out here to San Diego back in the early 90s, I met up with a casting director, one of the top casting directors at that time, Lonnie Manella, who was in my studio to record an auto dealer commercial. But anyway, Lonnie comes into my studio to record this ad, and I'm setting up her microphone, and she's doing wacky voices. So I did wacky voices back at her, and she asked me, would you be interested in acting in video games? And mind you, this is 1995, I think. And I said, what? Acting in video games? Yeah, okay, why not? Never heard of it. Didn't know it was a thing. And among the first things I was offered was an audition for Duke Nukem, and I landed it, and that's where it all started.
After Duke Nukem, we can hear your voice in many games, including Twisted Metal 4, Guild Wars 2, and Dota 2. Your most recent role, however, is Postal Dude in Postal 4. Is your take on the Postal Dude based in any way on the original voice by Rick Hunter?
No, not at all. When they had me audition for it, they said, they played me the file that goes, here's the original Postal Dude. And I went, wow, that's what I sounded like when I was a disc jockey in the 80s. I mean, he was so kind of, pukey with the delivery. And I went, do you want me to do that? And they said, yeah, do something like that. And I did it. And they said, how do you feel about that? And I said, it's okay. It's not the way I do it. They said, how would you do it? And I said, well, snarky and, guy sarcastic little shit. And they went, well, who's that remind you of? I said, me. They said, well, do it in your voice then. And so Postal Dude sounds exactly like this, man. I didn't change a thing. It's just me being me and being a snarky little fuck. And it worked out pretty well from what I hear so far. People seem to like it and say it matches.
I love it.
Crap. Damn it, champ. I thought you were guarding the car. Figures.
Have you finished recording for Postal 4, or will you record more when more content comes out?
Oh yeah. As long as they want to keep me, I'll keep doing the Postal Dude voice. I think it's it's an outrageous role, and I am kind of known for some outrageous things. I think it fits my persona. I think it's a character that I should stick with because you know what? He's not a good guy. He's not a bad guy. He's just kind of a jerk trying to survive, right?
Like the rest of us.
Just the average Joe.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel right now. I'm just another jerk trying to survive, staying home.
You seem to enjoy playing that character, so I'm curious, what's your least favorite character to voice?
Big the Cat. Did I take too long to answer that?
Oh, no,
I'm kidding.
I don't know.
I'm kidding. I don't dislike voicing it. What I dislike is the voice I did for Big the Cat. And that's probably why Sega, in their infinite wisdom, replaced me with Kyle Hebert before they killed the character off. Or Kyle Hebert killed the character off. I mean, either way, I'm not to blame. I'm not taking any responsibility for it. Let me give you the story of Big the Cat. I got a call from Lonnie Manella, who cast me as Duke Nukem again. And she said, we're going to do a Sonic the Hedgehog game, and I want you in it. I went, okay, cool. What part? She goes, don't worry. Just show up at the studio on Saturday in Kearny Mason, and I'll let you know. And I'm like, wow. Going into a game blind without auditioning for it, that's really unusual. It must be a small or simple part, I figured. So I show up at the studio, and there's all the other voice actors in there, including a couple of friends of mine who I recommended for the game. And Lonnie calls me into the booth before we're to record, and she said, okay, here's what you're going to be playing. She shows me a picture of Big the Cat, and I went, what the fuck is that? She said, that's Big the Cat. I said, definitely big. I guess it is a cat. He's carrying a fishing pole. It's a little weird. She goes, okay, here's the deal. He's a big, dumb cat. So a dumb voice. I mean, I could do something dumb kind of like this. And she said, yeah, that's perfect. No worries. I went, well, wait a minute. No, I'm just kidding. She goes, no, get in the booth right now. And the director from Tokyo, directors from Japan are on the line. I went, I don't think they're going to want me to do the voice like this, Big the Cat like this. And they said, oh, yes, we like that. That's good. Oh, shit. But as it turns out, I guess gamers didn't mind the Big the Cat voice. I'm the only one that ever bothered because I sound stupid doing it.
Oh, man. Where could that Pollywog pal be anyway?
You mentioned Lonnie Manella. She was also involved in Rat Rogers. Do you have any anecdotes surrounding that game?
Not a whole lot about the development. 3D Realms brought me in on that, and I thought, oh, this is going to be a really, really cute game. Look how colorful this is. It's a side scroller, and I went, wow, it's beautifully animated. It's adorable. Kids are going to love this. And then I see a cutscene they put together with me and Lonnie, and I didn't understand why my character was going, is that a wooden pipe she's smoking? Is she smoking a wooden pipe?
Well, it's my ex-husband, for fuck's sake.
Not knowing the wooden pipe, that the elder tree, played by Lonnie, what she was smoking were remnants of her dead husband that turned into a pipe that she's smoking. So she's still sucking him, apparently. But so the elder tree in Lonnie, when Lonnie does the voice for the elder tree, goes, oh, for fuck's sake, I don't have time for this shit. I went, whoa, what? Did I hear that right? In this cute little game, Rad Rogers, she's saying that shit? And then as it turns out, I get the rest of my script, and I was surprised at the dialogue I was given, too. It was pretty racy, considering how cute and adorable the game is. Lonnie and I still work together quite a bit. We occasionally now do new content for Star Trek Online, and that's a lot of fun. So I get to work with her still, and she directs this one, which I really enjoy Lonnie's direction, because she and I have known each other for so long that I just get it. When she tells me what she wants, I know exactly what to do.
Back to your preferences. What's your favorite character to voice?
Gotta be Duke. It's the easiest one. Right now, you can tell my voice is really rough. Too much partying, maybe, in this time of being stuck indoors. So typically, Duke is the easiest voice for me to do. It's in my natural range. All I have to do is talk like this. But right now, you can hear that I'm really rough, sandy voiced, smooth and airy. Ooh, I sound like an old man right now because it's worn out. That's all.
Aside from Duke Nukem, is there a recent character that came close to that enjoyment?
Postal Dude was too easy because it was just me delivering funny fucking lines. I mean, I really enjoyed doing them.
Yeah.
But it was just me speaking the script, basically. I love the part of Dusty in Rad Rogers because I like that obnoxious New York voice I was doing in it, right? So yeah, I would say Dusty in the Rad Rogers game. That was the most fun in the last few years.
All right.
It was a fun role.
It was a fun game.
He was a bad influence on children, which I was as Duke Nukem back in the day. So kind of reliving that.
Oh, hell yeah.
Gotta set those parental controls.
Right.
What's next for Duke? Do you think he still has a future with Macho Man characters like him being phased out in the media?
There's no mention of Duke because Duke's not in anything anymore. I mean, they inserted him. They inserted him into a few games a few years back. Remember Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition?
Yeah,
and even Rad Rogers. You can play as Duke Nukem in Rad Rogers, believe it or not. He was inserted into several games trying to keep the franchise alive. But what I'm told from the top, and I know I can say this, not being under an NDA, is that Gearbox took such a hit from Duke Nukem Forever. It was panned so bad by everybody. Everybody hated it, it seemed, because it wasn't the game they wanted it to be. Right. And sure, you're going to write shit and talk shit about a game that isn't what you want it to be after, 12 years of waiting and then all the hype behind it. Right. If you're let down, sure, you're going to really vent. So what I'm told from the top is that they cannot have a repeat of that or it will kill Duke Nukem forever.
Ooh.
So they want to be sure that they have the best writing, the best game they can have, the best game engine, and they will develop one. They're not going to let it die. They will do something Duke down the road, but it has to be right or they're not going to, put their stamp on it. It's as simple as that. Who knows? It could be another 3 to 5 years before we see anything. But if you got to wait that many years for it to be right this time, I think it's worth the wait. And the whole deal about him being misogynistic and hearing this Me Too time is not an issue. That's all about writing as well. And it's about giving him a sidekick or a family member, somebody. I shouldn't say anymore.
So what's happening with the Duke Nukem movie?
If there's going to be a movie, it's owned by Gearbox.
Yeah.
So if a movie is to be made, they will make a deal with somebody. They had a deal for a short while there with Paramount and Platinum Dunes. and Michael Bay as director, and John Cena to star as Duke Nukem, which would be bitchin' because he's got the look, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But something in that deal was not right. I think, the old stories here about Hollywood wanted to take over, take control of it and do it their way, and probably make it another cheesy John Cena movie. Because come on, he's done some kiddie movies now that are, just my opinion. I'd rather see him be ballsy, not. If they do make a Duke Nukem movie, clearly it can't be too racy or, well, no, it can be. Deadpool was pretty racy.
Yeah.
It could just be like
Who
pandering
knows?
to a niche audience.
Would you personally take a role in a big Hollywood production such as doing voices?
Oh God, I'd be thrilled to be in any of them. Breaking that nut open is pretty tough as a voice actor. Hell, I've been trying for 20 years to get into a cartoon, and I haven't done that successfully yet. It's hard. It's a hard nut to crack unless you're rubbing elbows with all the right people, which I could be doing if I'd moved back to Los Angeles. But I cannot stand living in LA. As a matter of fact, I lived there for 2.5 years and developed adult onset asthma at the age of 40 when I lived in LA because the air was so dirty, So if I lived up there and rubbed elbows with all the right people and I was in all the right studios, meeting the directors and producers for these things, I could probably end up getting a movie role, a small part, or voiceovers in films or a cartoon. But quality of life is a little more important to me. I live just north of San Diego. So I can be in LA for sessions within 2 hours, but I don't have to live there and breathe the brown air. So any jobs I can record from home, I'm happy to do. But, Hollywood doesn't work that way. If you're going to be involved in something up there, you got to go to their studio and record.
Do you have any future projects or promos that you'd like to share?
What can I talk about? Hold on just a second. Let me see if I can find the proper virtual background for what I'd like to talk about. This one will work. Let's see. I'd like to talk about King Kong Cruise.
Oh, yes.
Are you
I heard
familiar?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so after years of being a guest at conventions around the world, I decided that the next thing I want to do is have my own convention with voice actor guests exclusively. But I didn't want to do a typical land-based con because they're everywhere. So I decided to do a different model and do it on a cruise ship and have the guest voice actors participate in adventures with the fans. So for instance, we'll go kayaking or snorkeling together, rock climbing. There's all kinds of things to do on the ship and a lot of things to do on shore. So the guests who come along on my cruises, they participate with the fans at King Kong Cruise. Last year, we went to Cozumel, Mexico from Houston. The year before that, we went Miami to the Bahamas. And next March, we go Orlando, Florida to the Bahamas. And I've got Richard Epcar, the Joker, is a guest. I've got DC Douglas as a guest. I also have Wes Johnson returning because his Voice-A-Palooza panel is becoming kind of a staple at our con. We have panels every night on board the ship as well as other entertainment. And so that's what I really wanted to talk about was come with me to the Bahamas. Oh, man, feel the breeze of the islands. Imagine being down in the Bahamas where it's 85 and sunny on a cruise ship with all those chicks in bikinis and all that alcohol being poured down their throats. Consider that for your next vacation. You can find us at kingkongcruise.com.
I'm pretty sure the Duke approves.
Duke approves.
Oh, I approve, baby. Damn right. Hail to the king. Hail to the cruise, baby.
Thanks for popping by, John. We really love you.
It's great having you.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Howdy, fellas. My name is Arthur. Now, I come here bearing good tidings from my friend Dutch, who insists that video games are apparently the next big score. Now, I'm not sure exactly how, but nonetheless, I've been told to accompany y'all for this here V3 showcase. Coming up first is a role-playing game set in a satirical, modern-day United States. Now, in this game, you're going to be following a group of misfits on a journey to make better circumstances for themselves. Yeah, that sounds awful familiar, don't it? Anyway, let's take a look at this here moving picture. Coming up next, we got a game featuring a guy with the same name as me. How about that, fella? Anywho, this is one of them tactical role-playing games. So if you got a good mind for strategy, well, maybe just maybe, this is the game for you. Now, I know lots of different folk around the US of A come from lots of different places, but apparently far over the ocean in places I ain't never been, there's a different kind of culture. And some of the people here in America try to pander their own creations to those other cultures. Now, I'm not inclined to suggest that that's wrong, but something tells me that maybe it wasn't right.
The people decided they were better off without us. They even called us criminals. They tore our family apart. But look around. Someone has to do something. We have to do something.
Always remember, never accept the world as it appears to be. Dare to see it for what it could be.
光复香港时代革命。
Winston? It's been too long. What is this? This is broadcasting on the Overwatch emergency frequency.
I got a call. They're getting the band back together. They want me. But really, they need you.
I have been called. I must answer. Always.
The enemy is out there and getting stronger.
The world is changing once again, and it's time to pick a side.
We can make a difference again. The world needs us now, more than ever. Are you with me?
Yes, Winston. I am with you.
Just was wondering, is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke?
I've seen my share of unusual things in this world. Deformed children, unidentified flying objects, Viking burial grounds, and even strange boogeymen of the forest and the swamp. But sometimes in life, the scariest thing is what you can't see till it's too late. Go ahead and play the trailer. All right. Well, fellas, looks like my time's about up. For my final segment, we got ourselves a close look at a studio called Mega Cat Studios. Now, it says here they worked on something along the name of Genesis, so I guess they write Bibles or something. Maybe they'll say a prayer for me. God knows I need it. Anyway, I insist you tune in for this last trailer.
Hello, everybody. We're back with our next interview. Our next guest mission is to create meaningful gaming experiences for all gaming platforms, from NES to PC and everything in between. With 30 original games for retro consoles under their belt, this indie game studio is an important actor in the growing community of homebrewers. Ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to welcome the owner of Mega Cat Studios, James Deegan. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty good. What inspired you to produce games for retro consoles?
I think for most of our team members, that was the era of gaming that we grew up on that inspired us to make the decision to make games in the first place. So it's a little bit of nostalgia, It's personal, and then kind of separately, there's this really interesting renaissance with not just pixel art, but like a simple and elegant game design. You know, everything from hyper casual to all the indie darling pixel things.
How do you feel about the market for new physical retro games as opposed to playing them on a modern console? Do you think the market will grow?
You know, so I think it's probably more diminishing than growing. Similar type of market to any indie. You know, a big reason on why you create games is for a mix of your own goals and interests of what you want to bring into the world, and then a little bit of like kind of something you'd love to bring into your audience. So we have a pretty dedicated, pretty niche audience that loves the types of games that we create. So it's kind of, you know, any indie studio picks that up after a few releases, and since we've released about 30 games, we have a pretty good grasp on that.
What comes first during the creation time, fun or system limitations?
So I think just similar to a lot of indies that are kind of platform agnostic, we try to get that core feel for the game and being fun first for the core game loop, and then separately taking a step back and building everything within the technical specs of the platform.
Okay, how did you make 30 games without repeating content?
It's not like we have like 3 or 5 people touching a project. So across at any given time, we'll have 15 or so projects open across different platforms for some of our own, and some are for clients for contract work. So a big way that keeps us focused and working is having some specialists and some freelancers along with some of our core team. So we're able to work on a lot of these projects in parallel without having one interrupt the other.
The company's very open about its development process. Do you believe that being open about it has a positive effect on your workflow?
Yeah, I think there's a time kind of trade-off whenever we're spending and allocating some of our time to putting those processes in place or working on blogs. But most of our blogs are are less just recapping the dev cycle and more kind of doing a little lessons learned or a tutorial on something that not only gives us something to look back on for other team members later as we're growing, but it helps other indies maybe overcome some of those challenges faster. It definitely hinders the total development of anything since we're putting time there first, but I think that trade-off ends up saving us a lot of time later.
I've seen a lot of homebrew for modern consoles like the Wii and 3DS. Is there also a big homebrew community for retro consoles?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how it's all split up. So there's actually homebrew for like every console out there. There's people that are making like fan games for like the 3DO, right? And there's definitely not a huge fan base for that. But the NES, SNES, and Sega Genesis communities are, I'd say they're very engaged, like niches. They all follow each other and tend to support each other. So it's think of it as a higher floor and a lower ceiling, but a really very clear focus for what they like, what they play, and what they're most interested in. So they tend to be really engaged as a community, and then really very hard to please as customers. So that pushes us to keep upping our game, so to speak.
What is the appeal of retro games? Do you think it is just nostalgia?
Nostalgia is definitely a big piece of it, but I think a lot of times what kind of gets people back to retro is collectors like the physicality of having a shelf, and then kind of non-collectors like the idea of like short, snackable, quick sessions for games. Having something you can pick up and play and beat in 30 minutes is nice for someone who has a ton of other, either a giant backlog of games they'll never get through, or plenty of 50-hour plus RPG open world quests. So there's like a different need in your gaming life, and it's an easy pickup. You don't need a long 6-hour tutorial to master the controls. You can just get in and start having fun, start mashing buttons.
AAA games are becoming bigger and bigger. Do you think indie games should follow that trend?
I don't know if there's indie covers such a broad spot. I think there's space for both sizes and types of games, even within the same studio. So it seems like there's always a like parallel type of growth. Like I see a ton of hyper casual 5-minute types of and less types of games, and I see people that are doing these like bigger cinematic, robust experiences. The indie problem always is that big scope means less likely to be finished. It's a good question.
Well, thank you for the interview. It's been a very good look into the retro/homebrew world that you guys are involved in. Thank you so much for participating.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Hello there. My name is Hank, and I'm here to give you some information about some upcoming video games. Now, I don't know a whole lot about video games, but I do know how to read descriptions. Coming up first, we have a trailer about trains. Lots and lots of trains. Please take a look. Conflict is a natural part of human existence. Whether it's a football game or a competing brand of propane sales, the one thing is sure: all people have to deal with conflict in their life. That too is the case in this upcoming game. Only there, you're kicking Soviet ass. Please take a look. Now, if you're a fan of video games, I understand you often have to wait for projects that get announced and never finish. Whether it's a psychopathic schoolgirl or this upcoming project, you're always gonna have something to add and infinite lines of code. I'm told the following game was almost entirely designed by one person, with the exception of the engine. I can only hope it's fueled by propane. Let's take a look.
You ready?
Yeah.
This game has action.
Special features.
In-game entertainment.
Never before seen weapons.
Infinite replay value.
Nutritional advice.
Bottom text with a capital E. This game is absolutely asinine. Made by him.
Produced by them.
Boog.
Modern Meme Fair.
Well, that was a piece of garbage.
I think it actually does bring something.
Made my fucking hair hurt. Should we get rid of it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, hold on.
You can pick your friends, and you can pick your nose. But unfortunately, you picked to tune into this show. That's about all the time I have today, and I thank you for tuning into my segment of the show. Now, as some of you are aware, I am Mr. Big. But as a final farewell, I'm going to show you one last trailer before I pass on the torch. It seems I'm not the only Mr. Big around here. Let's take a look.
Hello everyone, I am Masahiro Sakurai. Have you liked the show? We still have a few more announcements. So, without further ado, here's a new scene for Hotline Miami called Invaders. We hope you enjoy it. We hope you guys have fun with this new scene. Next, we're pleased to announce a sequel game. That's right, No More Women 4. Take a look at this trailer.
My name is Tanglebarb Rectangle Shorts, and I am here to announce No More
Women
4 exclusively for the PlayStation 5. We have no gameplay, just box art, which I will now show for around 15 or so seconds while some shitty
Women.
music plays in the background. Enjoy. Yeah, fuck you.
PlayStation.
Well, that was something. Thank you all for tuning into V3, but before we leave, we have one final announcement. Please take a look. That's right, she's in. How will Steve Fags ever recover? Alongside this, we're pleased to announce a Mii Fighter tournament, Let Them Smash, on June 13th. Please tune into that as well. Without further ado, thank you all for watching. See you next year.
Thank you for tuning into V3. This has been a really great turnout, a great show. I'm really glad that every one of you turned out tonight. We had a lot of great things, so this is the end. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.